Only the 2023 Guardians could go out and sweep a playoff team, only to be swept by a team in September that already has 100 losses. I shouldn't say the only team to do it, but it's very fitting with this season, isn't it? Especially when you employ a hitter that is having one of the worst seasons in baseball history.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. If you're going to buy tickets, why wouldn't you want to save money? Over there is Justin. I am Jeff. We have fast channels coming up. This is a brand new thing to watch us on Roku, so we're going back to explain ourselves because it's a whole new listener base. But that's basically the long and short of it, right, Justin? So instead of tweeting at me about how much you hate introductions, understand, thank you to all of our new watchers, all of you people experiencing this for the first time. If you don't know me, you can see my Twitter handle, because, again, the new thing is visual, Jeff MLB Draft. I've been the host of Locked On Guardians since its inception, been here for all 1,000 episodes. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst at Scout and 24/7. And then I got my start at Indians Baseball / Indians Prospect Insider back in the day. Shout out Tony Lastoria for giving me that first branch to write on.
I am Justin, as you can see on the screen, on X at @G_baseball.
It's not X.
Now.
It's
for
not
now.
X.
Well, when it becomes paid, I won't be anything anymore, so that's fine. I've got over a decade of experience covering the Guardians minor league system and a little bit of the Guardians pro team at various sites, including IBI/GBI/Prospects Live / the News Herald Morning Journal, which is a paper here in Northeast Ohio. And I'm coming up on 1 year. I haven't had 1,000 episodes yet, but I'm coming up on 1 year here with you, Jeff.
It's been a fantastic year. It's nice having you in here.
It's been a year. I'm just going to say it's been a year.
For our show, it's been a great year. We have seen our numbers grow. We have seen our outreach grow. We've seen our interactions grow. And we are here not just in the good, sometimes in the bad.
The Guardians have not done a thing to help us except for, I don't know, everybody.
The trade deadline being active helped us. That's about all they've done to help us.
The trade deadline helped us out a lot.
And free agency,
ironically, a little behind the scenes here. Ironically, one of our most viewed videos on YouTube ever is before Mike Zunino signed this last offseason. It wasn't even him signing. It was after Sean Murphy was trading. And we were like, okay, they're going to sign Mike Zunino. So we talked about the positives and negatives of signing Mike Zunino. So people were really interested to hear what we had to say about Mike Zunino and I think the Will Benson trade too. So that just tells you what, and it doesn't tell you anything really, but just kind of what goes on behind the show. What did not go on today was the Guardians. From the first pitch, it was bad. I mean, they obviously didn't do much in the first inning against Zack Greinke, which, by the way,
going to be the Guardians. Oh,
Zack Greinke is having. Did you know how bad of a year Zack Greinke is having?
He's washed. I mean, he is. Listen, I love him. He's a potential Hall of Famer. He is a person who has dealt with anxiety in his career, which is just fantastic. He's been outspoken on mental illness. He is a player I love, even though he is a Royal. But then again, I've talked about, I love that stadium in Kansas City. I don't have a hatred of the Royals.
That is a nice stadium.
I love Zack Greinke as a pitcher, but this is probably the last time we're going to see him. He's done. He's done.
Well, the Guardians were apparently done because he didn't give up a run to them. He got 2 runs in 3 2/3. Yeah, he pitched okay. Like, I think the last time they were in Kansas City, he pitched well against them. I just can't understand. This guy is has 15 losses or something this year, and his ERA is over 5. And the Guardians are the one team that can't seem to figure out
every single time. I mean, they do better facing the guys who are actually halfway decent than. Lance Lynn, when he could not reach the plate, that's nice to see. Sorry, I was just looking at Texas. Jake Latz, the former Kent State, never actually pitched at Kent State's going up. Just like to see those Kent ties, Ohio ties get into the big leagues. But it just feels like this is all they do is seem to find the worst pitchers in baseball and make them look like all-stars.
I hate sitting here on September 20th and complaining about the lineup because it doesn't really matter at this point. There are things to get mad at. We're going to talk about some of those players in a little bit, but just from from the bottom of that first inning, I mean, the first pitch was a single into center field, and Will Brennan bobbled it, so the guy goes to second base. Not that it would have mattered, because Jose Tena air-mailed the next ball, a grounder, and then the next ball was hit like 400 feet into left field. And it was like, well, okay, that's how today's going to go. And to Lucas Giolito's credit, he only gave 1 run the rest of the way, and I guess it really should have been 1. It should have been 2 runs there because but the first one was a single, so I guess it would have been a 2-run homer, but he only got charged with 1 earned run that inning. But that's just the way the game went. They wanted to make an error later, and
no, he got 2 in the first. He got two in the first and 3 earned runs overall.
Yeah, I mean, only one run in that. I'm sorry, yeah, only 1 run in that inning was 2 runs in that inning were earned.
Yes, 1 unearned,
and the fourth was earned. Yeah, that's just the way the day went. I mean, when that lineup came up, and to the credit of the lineup, I guess Straw had a double and Jose Tena had a double later on, and Tyler Freeman later singled for him. I looked at that 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a rough day. That's how it turned out. But they had enough chances. I mean, they certainly had 8 hits. Josh Naylor had a couple. That was good. I mean, Josh Naylor was ending on a good note, but I don't want anybody to go out there and saying like, oh, this team wasn't trying. They look like they're mailing it in. I don't think that's the case here. I just think they are a team not playing very well right now. They swept they swept the Rangers, and I don't know what happened after they swept the Rangers because the Rangers have been in a bad way. But this team does not know how to carry over performance year or series to series, and that's been the case all year. So it's not really like anything new. It's not like all of a sudden this team just stopped trying. Like, no, they have not carried over performance series to series all year.
Let's be honest. The lineup today was a dumpster fire, and that might be an insult to dumpster fires. And listen, it's emptying the bench. It's giving guys days off. But when you got Will Brennan hitting lead off, we've talked about it's been a disappointing year for Brennan. Jose Ramirez goes 0 for 4. And, he's one of the guys you rely on. Cole Calhoun, I am so okay with bringing him back. I know you and I disagree on this, but he is a guy, I mean, playing him every day hurts my soul at this point in time. Lariano is Lariano. Jimenez, hey, at least he got on base. And then the bottom 3 spots in that lineup were like automatic out, automatic out, automatic out. Like, there was no point. I mean, again, they did manage a hit for Tena, a hit for Freeman, and a hit
Straw.
for Straw. But
an RBI for Straw.
Yeah, but it's still like, I mean, that was what, a sack fly 2 games in a row for him. I was sitting there watching, like, that's the sack fly is Miles Straw's equivalent of a home run. If that's a Miles Straw home run is a sack fly. But then again, I would have killed for well, I don't know. We could debate whether or not you want to win or lose. I'm kind of ambivalent at this point. But the sack fly the other night, the sack fly last night, and maybe this isn't a sweep. So it's hard to at least he put the ball in play. This team though, it's like you get swept by the Royals, it's an embarrassment. There's no other way around it. Like, yes, Oakland is living out the movie Major League right now, and they're not barely, they have a pretty good hold on that number 1 spot. You talked about in yesterday's show, they're now up to 51 wins, 6 of those against the Guardians. If I did some very quick math, I would tell you like this, and again, this is the Guardians, that's basically 12% of their wins came against Cleveland this year. If you had any hope of contending, I mean, flip 6 wins the other way, and you're over 500. So, I mean, losing 6 games to the Royals is the difference between being a 500 team and being below. And it's just another sign of, like you said, this team is consistently inconsistent. And I'll go back to the thing I said in June, and it holds true here. Good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. This team is and people will say they're not a bad team. This is a team that could end up with a top 7 pick. That's a bad team. If you have a top 10 pick, you are a bad team by definition of you are one of the 10 worst teams in baseball. That's a bad team. And I'm enjoying seeing some of these young guys. The young pitchers have been fantastic. Today made me miss Gabby Arias playing short, but it is what it is. And 1 game, by the way, separates them currently from the 11th pick to the 7th pick. So
good thing the Orioles are coming to town with, still a lot to play for. We're going to talk about that matchup in a little bit because I'm a little disappointed about how that matchup's going to start. And we got some news on the future. Well, we already knew the future for Tito, but now this is probably as official as you're going to get. And hey, maybe on the final homestand, they can do a farewell to the worst hitter in Major League Baseball history for going back quite a way. So all that
Guardian hitter ever too.
One of the worst Guardians hitters / Indians hitters of all time. So stick around for more of that. Well, I'll spill the beans if you haven't seen it already. There's a farewell to Tito planned on the final homestand coming up next week or this week coming up. I don't know how tickets are looking for that right now, but if you're looking to get a good deal on tickets last minute, you can certainly do that at Gametime. There were no tickets to be had for the Jonas Brothers concert I was at the other night. I can't confirm. So people snatch those up real quick, but you can snatch up your tickets to all kinds of events, whether it's sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater, all that good stuff. You can get the best price with the Gametime guarantee. So if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. You get images of your seats before you go, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive, and they're right to your phone, so you never have to dig through email to get them. I know that's such a pain for me to do, is dig through email for tickets. So snag the tickets without the stress of Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and when you do it, you can use the code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. So create the account, redeem that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Guardians come back home on Thursday to start their final homestand of the season, and it's 7:15. If you're not watching what should have been a great matchup that we're going to talk about, you can listen to it on your SiriusXM app. Just search Guardians. That is going to be Hunter Gaddis, by the way, versus Grayson Rodriguez. So we'll get to that later in the show. But so that last homestand against the Reds, the 27th, the Guardians are going to hand out some kind of T-shirt thanking Tito, and they're going to have a tribute video planned. So I'd imagine that's about as official of a announcement as we're going to get. It'll probably won't be official until the last pitch is thrown, I'm guessing. He's just not going to let it happen.
That night, though, the announcement is that's as official as it's going to get. Like, I mean, they're doing everything. We know it's official. It's unofficially official. We've pretty much known that with his statement. So this is the as official as it's going to get. But yeah, it's as I said, it's the end of an era. Talked about in yesterday's show. It kind of stinks that
to go out like that. Yeah,
to go out with this is the only time. They've only in the every other year here have had such a good run. They've only ever picked in the first half of the first round, been a bottom 15 team once. I mean, even when you go back to, we compare this year often to the was it 2021? It's like that year they still ended up in the 20s picking with the Nationals picking higher than them, even though they won a World Series because it was the old rules. And Washington came to town and kicked their butts in the final week. But yeah, it's frustrating in that regard. As someone who wants to root for this team long term, I'm rooting for them to literally lose all 7 games left, right? Is that right? Is it just no, I'm forgetting someone in there. Was it 10?
9?
9, okay. Yes, because I'm forgetting the 2 against Cincinnati. That was it. So yeah.
The Ohio Cup is still on the line. We can still root for the Ohio Cup, Jeff.
Maybe I'll go on Thingiverse and see if I can print at work a 3D copy of someone upload that the Ohio Cup, so we can just sit here and have that in the background. So if we win all year, instead of my Star Wars Darth Malagus here, I'll replace it with the Ohio Cup.
When the Minnesota Twins clinch the division, whether it's tomorrow, I think there's a scenario where the Guardians lose, the Twins win, they can clinch tomorrow. Next week, when the Twins have already had their celebration and they're recovering from their champagne hangovers, although I don't know if Carlos Correa and Royce Lewis could afford any more injuries at this point. Can the Guardians next week at least hang a banner that says Ohio Cup champions for Tito? That night, if the Guardians win on the 26th, they clinch the Ohio Cup for this year. I think on the 27th, they should hand Tito the Ohio Cup trophy to honor him. At least he wins something in his final year.
Just take it with him and go.
I mean, the Ohio Cup is right up there with a World Series title, a World Baseball Classic championship. Those are very high honors. So I think that
the last two, not so much.
He at least gets to go out holding a trophy if they win on Wednesday. So at least give the man that, okay?
No, and the Ohio Cup is trash.
Do you think, by the way, I think there's some stuff we can talk about at the end of the year with Tito, but do you think that this is a very conspiracy theory brained comment? Do you think there's any way possible that he is not using the word retirement or avoiding the whole thing because there's a chance he may leave this year and still want to manage again? Like if the Red Sox decide that, Alex Cora either becomes the GM or
we had someone in the comments.
The new GM moves on from Alex Cora, that Tito goes back to Boston.
Or was it Space Lab? I don't know if he still listens or not. He kind of went the other way and got angry at us.
I mean,
Space Lab had this theory. You're now getting into the conspiracy theorists in our own comments. I don't think so. I think he legitimately has health issues. He may not be retired, but I think he's taking a year off. At least I think he's got to get his body together.
You know who else took a year off at one time?
Terry Francona. Didn't he take a year off before he came to Cleveland too?
He did, but he never said at that point he was done managing. But Urban Meyer has retired multiple times, only to come back and coach. So,
and that's gone so well. So,
just saying,
at the pro level, that has been just spectacular.
Can we officially consider Cam Gallagher retired next year? Because
we have multiple attack angles for this Cam Gallagher story. This is we should give credit, isn't it? The Locked On Guardians Reddit where you first saw this. I want to make sure
it was just the Cleveland. It was just the Guardians subreddit. It was the
subreddit. That's it.
The corner of Carnegie and Quantario, not Ontario, Quantario.
Okay,
is where I first saw. We put a little more research into it. That was where we first saw the idea. Cam Gallagher. Well, okay, theirs was Cleveland related. Go ahead with the Cleveland related stat.
Well, so I've been playing with this, so I got to jump back. If you look at Cleveland related, and I went back to 1940 with this, and if you go back to 1940 and you include pitchers, by the way, Cam Gallagher has the third worst season since 1940 amongst Cleveland Guardians, people who played for the Cleveland Guardians, I guess, / Cleveland Indians. I'm sorry, if you go back to 40, it is the fourth worst season if you have 100 plate appearances, because Bob Feller had a negative 39 runs created plus in 48, Sam McDowell in 70, Sam McDowell in 65. Then you got Cam Gallagher. Then you got Sam McDowell in 69, Mike Garcia in 52, Early Wood in 57, Bob Feller in 46. You might notice a theme. Those are all pitchers. You don't have to get to Tony Martinez in 1963. I hope, why am I blanking on his name? Everyone knows him. One of the people that people love to hate. I hope Avery's listening. This has got to be like what he's been waiting for. And everydayer Mike always loves when we go into history as well. So that's the list. That's your top. And then Otis Nixon in 1984. So that's your 10 worst seasons. And there are 3 hitters, 7 pitchers, and Sam McDowell 3 times. And Cam Gallagher is 4th.
It's something. If you go and look at MLB, I took this one only in 1994 because that's the way the current format is for baseball is 94. I guess I could play around.
I can give you the other one. I can 100% give you the other
just
one.
Going back to 1994.
Yeah.
The only 2 hitters worse than Cam Gallagher this season in a single season are Zach Cozart in 2019, who had a negative 17 WRC plus, and then 1999 Randy Johnson had a negative 43. Like Darryl Kyle in 1997, the late Darryl Kyle had a negative 10 WRC plus. He was a pitcher. And Cam Gallagher's at negative 10. That might even go down after Wednesday's performance. And that's out of over 13,000 hitters since 1994 in a single season. Is negative 10. I mean, his slash line coming into Wednesday was 134, 164, 179. He is making Austin Hedges look like he's Ted Williams.
So
go ahead. I was going to say I looked up some defensive metrics, and yeah, I mean defensively there are some positives to Cam Gallagher, and I have a theory about why he played today, but I'll let you get through your stat before I go to that theory. If I'm going to continue on this rabbit hole,
the problem is like when I allow pitchers, it drastically changes it, and you get up to like 29,000 results. and he's still like a bottom 100 guy. That's including, I mean, the worst season ever was Dean Chance in 1968 with a -70 or -60 runs created plus, which is kind of phenomenal when you really sit down and think of it. But if you're not looking at pitchers and you just change it to non-pitchers, Mike Laga in 1988 is at -20. That's the king. And Cam Gallagher is tied with Kevin Cash, you mentioned, and Casper Wells, who somehow played for 3 teams that year in spite of being terrible. And I love the fact you got Tony Pena Jr. in there.
Yeah.
Not senior, so it's not quite the Cleveland tie. But if you go further down that list, you do see JB Shuck from the infamous year that they decided to protect JB Shuck instead of Anthony Santander. And you do have a Luke Maile appearance. So some Cleveland ties in the worst seasons. But yeah, since 1940, he is tied for 7th worst season in baseball history.
And somehow he has over 140 play appearances for this team. I've got one theory, not really a wild conspiracy theory, on why he played on Wednesday, why he still is playing at this point, or has gotten as much run as he's gotten. I'll give that to you when we come back, and we're going to talk about the lost Rookie of the Year matchup that should have been Thursday that I'm trying not to be bummed out about.
Snap in the action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Visit FanDuel.com for yourself today.
Guardians start a 4-game series with the Baltimore Orioles on Thursday. Orioles are still looking to clinch that division. They're getting ever closer. They're 2.5 up. That you can listen to that matchup at 7:15 on your SiriusXM app. Just search Guardians.
Before your theory, I want to just one final note. By the way, that Cam Gallagher being one of the 10 worst seasons since 1940 for a hitter has the 3rd highest at bats in that group, behind Pat Rocket and Tony Pena Jr. So on top of it being a historically bad season, they've given him more play. These aren't even at bats. Sorry, these are plate appearances. He has gotten more plate appearances than almost everyone else on this list. So not only is it a bad season, Cleveland's giving him way too many plate appearances. And now I'll be quiet.
That definitely doesn't make it any better. The only thing I can think of, again, this is not a conspiracy theory, but it's just a theory, that Lucas Giolito pitching today had Hunter Gaddis thrown in this game, because he's going to throw Thursday. It might have been David Fry, but my only theory here is that Cam Gallagher, you look on Baseball Savant, good framing, called strikes are above average, blocking is okay. There are defensively good things that he has done this year, it would seem. And they're doing justice to Lucas Giolito for pitching here in this situation, and they're trying not to hurt his free agent value. So they put a catcher behind the plate that has better defensive chops than David Fry. But if that was like Hunter Gaddis or anybody else, they would have just said, we'll throw David Fry because it doesn't matter. But they were trying to prop up Lucas Giolito by being good citizens. That's all I can come up with at this point. I don't know about the other, 140 plate appearances before Wednesday, but that's my only theory.
Mine is just it's the defense, and that Fry is there to be the emergency third catcher, and we know that Tito has always been loath to play that guy. He likes having that guy on the bench.
That's true. But
so I think
Cam Gallagher could have been that guy.
No,
or he was saving David Fry to pitch.
Yeah, well, I just think it's, I think Cam Gallagher is a dude he trusts, and I think the pitchers like throwing to him, and I think it was just that.
T-shirts on next Wednesday to Cam Gallagher to celebrate the worst offensive season in club history.
Yeah, which it is. I mean, it's 100%. Unless you're
I'm excited
pitchers.
to be there.
Yeah, it's just Cam Gallagher, net negative.
Thank you for the Cam Gallagher experience. My wife used to really. Neil Ramirez was here. He was such a random reliever, and I didn't enjoy watching Neil Ramirez pitch because it was always an adventure. No, so we always talked about when Neil Ramirez pitched if the Guardians won or if they were the Indians or if they survived. I always said I survived the Neil Ramirez experience and came very close to making that a t-shirt just as an inside joke among ourselves. And I don't know how many people can actually say they survived the Cam Gallagher experience. I mean, look, and this is nothing
pitcher he faced.
Well, yeah, I hope they didn't just survive. I hope they thrive. Geez, when you've got a OPS below 300 almost, I hope you are thriving. I mean, Zack Greinke's having a terrible year, and Zack Greinke probably saw Cam Gallagher and was like, ooh, yes, I'm going to get that 3,000th strikeout on one at bat here. I'm going to keep my pitch count down because he's either going to ground out to second base or strike out on 3 pitches. This is not to attack Cam Gallagher personally. I'm sure he's a great dude. I know pitchers like throwing to him, and he's probably well liked in the clubhouse. And I'm sure he's a great dude. None of this is personal. It's just, I think we can all agree this is one of the most baffling uses of bats and one of the worst statistically offensive performances of all time. And it's made very little sense to anybody that he has lasted this long on the team. I know they were counting on their pitchers for a lot this year, and I know they had a lot of rookie pitchers they needed help with, but you had Mike Zunino. Remember one time Maybers Valoria was a member of this team. It's just been very weird. So I'm sure we'll have more thoughts on that as the season ends. Speaking of the season ending, you talked about Tanner Bibee season ending earlier this week when I was hanging out with the Joe Bros. Probably not going to win rookie. Well, no, he's not going to win rookie of the year. If it's going to be questionable, he finishes in second place. But it should have been Tanner Bibee versus Grayson Rodriguez Thursday on Fox. By the way, that's a national game Thursday, if you weren't aware. I don't know how Fox decided that was national, because they don't have any programming because of the writer's strike. But
yeah.
So your national matchup now is Grayson Rodriguez versus Hunter Gaddis. I'm sure it's exactly what they were hoping for. But it could have been Bibee versus Rodriguez. It could have been Bibee versus Gunnar Henderson. It would have been a great matchup because it could have been the 1-2 in the rookie of the year race. But how about this? 14 times this year, Tanner Bibee took the hill after a Guardians loss because, there was a lot of them this year. He went 9-5, and those 5 losses, he gave up a total of 9 earned runs. And he had 19 of his 25 starts. He allowed 2 runs or less. He is 5th among starting pitchers in win probability added, just below Sonny Gray, Justin Steele, Blake Snell, and Garrett Cole, all guys who are in the Cy Young race. And if you filter that to rookies, he's number 1. Obviously, we have Kodai Senga, and I believe he is only behind Corbin Carroll, Luke Raley, and Kerry Carpenter for win probability added among all rookies. So the rookie of the year matchup that should have been but never was. And I don't know how FanGraphs puts this together, but it's their Cy Young projection tool. Right now, Bibee is listed 11th on that in the American League. So what could have been, right?
He's 15th in the league in FIP as long as you drop down to 140 pitching appearances. It is kind of that annoyance. Like, not only is this team going to have a top pick, but it's like, imagine if they had actually brought up Bibee to start the year. I know it's ridiculous. That wasn't never in the cards, but it's hard to not go back and be like, man, if he started the year up, he wins rookie. He doesn't necessarily win rookie of the year, but he's got a better chance. He's definitely finishing top 2. And
now it's probably 3. I think you're right. Tristan Cass is going to pass him.
And Josh Young is going to be up. Is just got activated today. But yeah, I think it's like if he was up at the start of the year, not only is this team probably still picking in the top 10, but then you're adding a pick at the end of the 30s, and this is the year they get a comp A pick. Like, they would have owned this draft. Now that would have been great for our show.
Manzardo next year.
Yeah. And Manzardo went deep again tonight. I know we're running at an end here, but
that's 5 home runs in like 18 games, and 5 of them have become in the last 8 games or something.
Yeah, he likes hitting in Columbus like everyone does.
Yeah. Well, Hunter Gaddis is back from Columbus, so enjoy Hunter Gaddis versus Grayson Rodriguez Thursday night. National television. Hunter Gaddis on national television.
So positive. Everyone loves it when he was up earlier in the year. It was just great in our comments. But we appreciate all the comments because we understand that right now, hey, this can be a interesting product to watch. We hope you are having fun joining us every week here on Locked On Guardians, every day on Locked On Guardians. Be an everydayer. Join us, download, rate, and review. It helps. Thank you for being a fantastic audience, and go, Guardians, go.